The Mafia boss pretends to sleep to test the shy maid. Then, he freezes, when seeing what she does. The Costello estate seemed to swallow sound itself, its marble floors and vaulted ceilings creating a silence so complete, it felt deliberate. Amidst this suffocating quiet, Anna Reynolds moved like a ghost, the hem of her simple black uniform brushing just above her ankles. Her first morning at the estate had begun before dawn, hands trembling as she pinned her auburn hair into a tight bun. This wasn't a job she wanted, but desperation had a way of eliminating choices, especially with her father's medical bills mounting higher than the estate's wrought iron gates. Head housekeeper Mrs. Fletcher had given a tour with military precision, voice dropping to a whisper when approaching certain doors. "Mr. Ricci doesn't like disturbances," she'd explained, eyes darting toward the master study where the young boss supposedly conducted his business. The other staff avoided Anna, their eyes carrying warnings they wouldn't voice. Only Luis, the elderly gardener with arthritic hands, had offered a kind word when she helped him carry pruning shears back to the greenhouse. During lunch in the staff quarters, whispers followed Anna like persistent shadows. "Third maid this month," someone murmured over soup. The last one disappeared after Mr. Ricci found her in his private study. Anna felt her appetite vanish with each new rumor. By afternoon, Anna had memorized the patterns of the house, which floorboards creaked, which doors were always locked. The East Wing study with its dark mahogany doors seemed to pulse with secrets, the air around it heavy with unspoken rules. As dusk settled, Anna caught her first glimpse of Matteo Ricci returning from business downtown. He moved with a predator's grace, his tailored suit unable to hide the power beneath, as his security detail flanked him like shadows. The whispers grew louder at dinner service. How at just 27, Matteo had assumed control of his father's import business after a bloody succession dispute. How the FBI had tried and failed to build cases against him 3 separate times. Later that night, Anna found herself assigned to turn down the guest rooms in the North Wing. As she rounded a corner carrying fresh linens, she collided with Matteo himself, his dark eyes narrowing as he steadied her with surprising gentleness. "Sorry, sir, I didn't see," Anna began, but froze when his gaze caught on the small St. Christopher medal peeking from beneath her collar. Something shifted in his expression, quickly masked by coldness as he released her arm and walked away. In her tiny staff bedroom, Anna removed 3 silver hairpins and carefully unwrapped them from a small newspaper scrap. The headline made her stomach clench. "FBI seeks informants in Ricci family investigation," a reminder of her true purpose and the danger surrounding her. "Mrs. Fletcher knocked before sunrise. "Mr. Ricci has requested you specifically for the main house cleaning rotation," she announced with surprise. "That includes his private office, an unusual privilege for someone who's been here only a day." The first disappearance happened on Anna's 5th day, an antique pocket watch vanishing from the library display case. Security cameras mysteriously malfunctioned during the 2-hour window, and suspicion immediately fell on the newest staff member despite Anna having alibis. Matteo's personal assistant, Carlo, conducted the staff interrogations. His eyes lingered on Anna longer than the others, his questions probing beyond the missing watch into her background, her family, her reasons for seeking employment at the estate. That evening, Anna overheard Matteo in heated conversation with Carlo. "Another test," Matteo insisted, his voice cold as winter. "My father trusted too easily, and look what happened to him. Betrayed by someone who smiled while sliding a knife between his ribs." Anna cleaned the guest bathroom with extra care the following morning, trying to appear unaffected when she discovered a diamond bracelet conspicuously left beside the sink. She carefully placed it in the lost and found box, documenting her actions with a written note. Mrs. Fletcher pulled Anna aside later, her usually stern face softened with concern. "Whatever game Mr. Ricci is playing, be careful," she whispered. "I've served this family for 30 years, and seen too many young women caught in their tests." And on her day off, Anna visited her father at County Hospital, his once strong frame now frail against the white sheets. "You look tired, sweetheart," he wheezed. "This job at that fancy estate, is it too much?" She forced a smile and lied. When Anna returned that evening, she found her room had been searched, subtle changes that most wouldn't notice. The corner of the rug turned slightly, her uniforms hanging in a different order, the drawer with her personal items not quite closed. The next morning brought uncomfortable scrutiny, as Carlo shadowed her through duties. "Mr. Ricci values loyalty above all else," he remarked casually as she dusted priceless artifacts. "He can be quite generous to those who prove themselves trustworthy." Anna maintained her routine with practiced calm despite the mounting pressure. She worked efficiently, kept her head down, and revealed nothing as she weathered each new accident. Cash left in plain sight, jewelry forgotten on counters. By the second week, Anna noticed Matteo watching her from doorways and shadows, his dark eyes following her movements. Unlike Carlo's obvious surveillance, Matteo's observation felt different, less accusatory, more curious, as though she were a puzzle. The final test comes tomorrow, Anna overheard Carlo telling Matteo late one evening. We'll know exactly what kind of person she is by what she does when she thinks no one is watching. Matteo's response was too quiet to hear. Carlo's cryptic words became clear the next afternoon, when Anna was assigned to clean the rarely used west drawing room. There, stretched across the leather sofa in apparent slumber, lay Matteo himself, with his personal valuables scattered carelessly on the coffee table beside him. Anna froze in the doorway, her cleaning supplies clutched tightly against her chest. Matteo lay motionless, his breathing deep and even, one arm draped casually over his chest, while the other hung off the edge of the sofa. On the coffee table beside him lay his wallet, open to reveal a thick stack of $100 bills. His platinum watch glinted in the afternoon light, placed carelessly next to a small black leather notebook and an ornate silver pen. For several heartbeats, Anna simply stood watching him, noting the softness that sleep brought to his usually guarded features. Without his perpetual scowl, he looked younger, almost vulnerable, a stark contrast to the feared Mafia boss she knew him to be. She moved into the room with practiced silence, setting her cleaning caddy on the floor by the entryway. Her eyes darted between Matteo's sleeping form and the valuables that seemed deliberately positioned to tempt her. A clock ticked somewhere in the room, each second amplified in the stillness. Anna approached the coffee table cautiously, her steps muffled by the thick carpet, and began to dust around the items without touching them. Through lowered lashes, Matteo watched her every move. He kept his breathing measured and deep, muscles relaxed in perfect mimicry of sleep, while his mind remained razor-sharp, cataloging her every gesture and expression. Anna's hands moved efficiently as she cleaned the surrounding surfaces, careful never to disturb the arranged valuables. She worked methodically, maintaining a respectful distance from both the sleeping man and his possessions. As she finished with the tables, Anna reached for a folded throw blanket draped over a nearby armchair. The soft cashmere fabric unfurled silently in her hands as she approached Matteo's seemingly sleeping form. With gentle movements that betrayed years of caring for her ailing father, she carefully draped the blanket over him. Her touch was light as a whisper as she ensured the covering reached his shoulders without disturbing his rest. What happened next made Matteo's heart stutter in his chest. Instead of taking advantage of her proximity to pocket his valuables, Anna quietly gathered his watch, wallet, and other belongings from the table and placed them securely in the inside pocket of his suit jacket, hanging nearby. She stood a moment longer, looking down at him with an expression he couldn't decipher, something between sadness and resignation. Then, almost imperceptibly, she whispered, "Not everyone is looking to betray you, Mr. Ricci." As she turned to leave, closing the door with barely a sound, Matteo's eyes snapped fully open. For the first time since his father's murder, he found himself completely taken aback, the carefully constructed test yielding results he hadn't anticipated. The security footage revealed more than Matteo expected when he reviewed it later that night in his private study. Not only had Anna refused the bait, but the cameras had captured other moments he hadn't witnessed personally. Small acts of integrity scattered throughout her 2 weeks at the estate. She'd replaced fallen books in his library, arranged fresh flowers in rarely used rooms, and even slipped extra pain medication to Luis when the old gardener's hands had been particularly stiff. Each action performed without audience or recognition, each a piece of a larger puzzle. Carlo stood silently by the door as Matteo rewound the footage of the drawing room for the third time. "She passed your test," he observed flatly. "But that only means she's smarter than the others, playing a longer game." Matteo silenced him with a raised hand, rewinding to the moment Anna had whispered those unsettling words. "Run another background check," he ordered, rewinding the footage once more. Deeper this time. Family, friends, financial records, everything. The next morning, Anna noticed an immediate shift in the atmosphere of the estate. Staff who had previously avoided her now offered cautious smiles, and Carlo's oppressive shadowing had mysteriously ceased, replaced by occasional calculating glances from across rooms. Mrs. Fletcher cornered her in the linen closet, Her usual stern demeanor softened to something approaching warmth. "Whatever you did yesterday, it worked," she murmured, sorting sheets with practiced efficiency. "He's never kept a new maid past the testing phase." That evening, as Anna turned down the beds in the east wing, she found Matteo waiting in the hallway. "My father's watch was his most prized possession," he said without preamble, his dark eyes studying her reaction. "The maids before you stole far less valuable items." Anna's hand stilled on the bedsheet. "I'm not here to take anything from you, Mr. Ricci," she responded quietly, her heart pounding against her ribs as she maintained his gaze. "I only want to do my job and earn my paycheck." Something shifted in Matteo's expression. Not quite a smile, but a softening around the eyes. Without another word, he turned and walked away, leaving Anna to release the breath she hadn't realized she was holding. That night, a thick manila envelope appeared under Anna's door, containing medical billing statements from her father's hospital, all stamped paid in full. No note accompanied it, but Anna didn't need one to recognize the handwriting on the envelope or understand the message it conveyed. For the first time since infiltrating the Costello estate, genuine confusion clouded Anna's purpose. The man she'd been sent to gather evidence against had just paid off her father's crushing medical debt, an act of unexpected kindness that complicated everything. Carlo intercepted Anna the following morning with news that chilled her blood. "Mr. Ricci requests your presence at dinner tonight," he announced, satisfaction evident in his thin smile. "He has questions about your father's improving health situation." The private dining room gleamed with old money and quiet power, crystal chandeliers casting golden light across a table set for two. Anna stood frozen in the doorway, her borrowed black dress feeling suddenly inadequate against such deliberate opulence. Matteo rose as she entered, dark eyes appraising her with newfound interest. "You look uncomfortable," he observed, gesturing to the chair across from his. "Would you prefer we speak somewhere less formal?" Anna forced herself to move forward, years of FBI training barely keeping her composure intact. "I'm just confused why I'm here," she admitted, taking the offered seat. "And why you paid my father's medical bills." Matteo poured wine into her glass without asking, the rich burgundy liquid catching the light. "Consider it a bonus for your discretion and honesty," he replied, his voice revealing nothing of his true thoughts, qualities I find increasingly rare. Their conversation flowed with surprising ease as dinner progressed, touching on art, literature, and music, safe topics far removed from his family business. Anna found herself laughing genuinely at his dry wit, momentarily forgetting the wire hidden beneath her dress. As dessert arrived, Matteo's phone buzzed with an urgent message. His expression darkened instantly as he read it, all traces of warmth vanishing from his features. "We have a problem," he announced, rising abruptly. "Someone's breached our security." The estate erupted into controlled chaos as armed men materialized from hidden posts. Anna found herself whisked from the dining room by Matteo himself, his hand firmly guiding her down corridors she'd never seen before. They emerged in an underground garage where sleek black vehicles waited with engines running. "The Baresi family doesn't take rejection well," Matteo explained tersely, opening a car door for her. "They've been trying to eliminate competition for months." Anna's training screamed at her to refuse, to maintain her cover and distance, but the distant sound of gunfire made the decision for her. She slid into the vehicle's back seat, heart pounding as Matteo joined her, and the car accelerated into the night. The safe house was a minimalist apartment in a high-rise downtown, its windows bulletproof, and its security system state-of-the-art. "You'll stay here tonight," Matteo informed her, checking his weapon with practiced efficiency. "It isn't safe to return until we've handled the situation." Anna watched him pace the apartment, tension radiating from every line of his body. In this moment, she saw both sides of him clearly, the ruthless crime boss, and the man who'd paid a stranger's medical bills without expectation of repayment. "Why protect me?" she finally asked, the question that had been building since he'd guided her to safety. "I'm just staff, replaceable, especially given your family's resources." Matteo stopped pacing, his expression unreadable in the dim light. "Because unlike what the FBI file on your nightstand suggests about me, Ms. Reynolds, I don't sacrifice innocent people, not even undercover agents who lie their way into my home." Anna felt the blood drain from her face as Matteo's words struck with devastating precision. "How long have you known?" she whispered, fingers instinctively reaching for the concealed wire that now felt like a burning brand against her skin. Matteo's laugh held no humor as he poured himself a drink from the apartment's well-stocked bar. "Since the moment you accidentally bumped into me that first night," he replied, swirling amber liquid in his glass. The St. Christopher medal was a nice touch. Same one my father's betrayer wore. He tossed a file onto the coffee table between them. Anna's FBI personnel photo staring up from the top page. Agent Anna Reynolds, recruited straight out of Quantico, specializing in deep cover operations, he recited, as though reading a shopping list. Father, retired police detective Michael Reynolds, currently battling stage 4 lung cancer. Anna's training dissolved under the weight of pure terror, not for herself, but for her father, alone and vulnerable at County Hospital. If you touch him, she began, voice shaking with genuine emotion for the first time since her assignment began. Mateo cut her off with a raised hand, surprising hurt flashing across his features. That's who you think I am? He asked quietly. A man who would harm a dying police officer to punish his daughter? Outside, rain began to fall, droplets racing down bulletproof glass as the city lights blurred into watercolor smears. In the sudden silence, Anna realized her entire mission had been built on assumptions that were rapidly crumbling beneath her feet. The FBI file on me, Mateo continued, settling into an armchair across from her. Does it mention that I've been working with select federal agents to dismantle the Baresi family's human trafficking operation? Or that my father was killed when he tried to do the same? The revelation hit Anna like a physical blow, pieces of a puzzle rearranging themselves in her mind. The mysterious meetings, the encrypted phone calls, the unexplained absences, all documented in her reports as criminal activity, now cast in an entirely different light. Carlo's voice suddenly crackled through the apartment's intercom, tension evident even through the static. Perimeter breach at the hospital, he reported tersely. 2 Baresi men spotted in the East Wing near the oncology floor. Anna's world narrowed to a single, terrible point of clarity. They weren't after Mateo tonight. My father, she gasped, already moving toward the door, training and cover forgotten in the face of immediate threat. Mateo caught her arm, his grip firm but not cruel. My men are already there, he assured her, dark eyes meeting hers with unexpected empathy. But we need to move now if we're going to beat the FBI extraction team that's undoubtedly been deployed to rescue you. The hospital corridor stretched before them like a fluorescent-lit gauntlet, eerily quiet at 3 a.m. Anna moved swiftly beside Mateo, her borrowed clothes and his expensive suit conspicuous against the sterile white walls. 2 of Mateo's security personnel flanked her father's door, their presence subtle but unmistakable. With a silent nod from their boss, they stepped aside, allowing Anna to rush into the room where her father lay sleeping, oxygen tubes trailing from his nose. The relief of seeing him safe collided with the crushing weight of her deception. How could she explain that the job she'd taken to pay for his treatment had been an FBI assignment, targeting the very man who had ultimately covered those expenses? Michael Reynolds stirred, opening cloudy eyes that immediately cleared with recognition. Annie, he murmured, reaching for her hand. What's wrong? Why are you here so late? Before she could formulate a response, the hospital room door opened again to admit Carlo, his usually impeccable appearance disheveled from obvious conflict. FBI, 2 minutes out, he reported briskly. Baresi men neutralized in the parking structure. Mateo nodded, turning to Anna with sudden urgency. You have a choice to make, he stated simply. When your team arrives, you can complete your mission, or you can hear the truth, but not both. The stark fluorescent lighting cast harsh shadows across Mateo's face, highlighting the weariness that had settled into lines around his eyes. For 3 years, I've been feeding information to the FBI's Organized Crime Division, he explained rapidly. Not through official channels. They're compromised. Anna's training screamed at her to dismiss his claims as manipulation, yet something in his expression stopped her. The Baresi family has officials on payroll, Mateo continued, voice low and intent. Your handler, Agent Davis, is one of them. The distant sound of elevator doors opening punctuated his revelation, followed by the measured cadence of multiple footsteps approaching down the corridor. Time had officially run out for deliberation. With hands that barely trembled, Anna removed her wire and transmitter, placing them on the hospital bed beside her confused father. The beeping of the medical equipment provided a steady rhythm to her racing thoughts as she made the most consequential decision of her career. Behind her professional training lay the simple truth that had eluded her investigation. Sometimes justice wears unexpected faces. Her father's eyes, though clouded with medication, held the sharp perception that had made him a legendary detective. This isn't just about the case anymore, is it? He whispered, his gaze shifting between his daughter and the man standing protectively at her side. In that moment, Anna saw her reflection in the hospital room window, Not the polished FBI agent or the undercover maid, but something entirely new emerging from the collision of these two worlds. A woman willing to risk everything for truth, regardless of which side of the law it came from. "Dad, I need you to trust me," she whispered, pressing a quick kiss to his forehead, before turning to Matteo. "What's our next move?" Matteo's relief was visible only in the momentary softening of his eyes, before his tactical mind reasserted control. "We need evidence from my father's old study. Journals documenting every corrupt official in 3 states, including those within the Bureau." They slipped out through a service entrance as Agent Davis and his team breached the hospital room, finding only Michael Reynolds clutching a note in his daughter's handwriting. "The real criminals aren't who we thought. I'll be back with proof." The journey back to the Costello estate felt surreal, the familiar grounds now crawling with both FBI agents and Barisian forcers engaged in a chaotic standoff. "The East Wing Tunnel," Matteo instructed as they approached through the dense forest that bordered the property. "It'll take us directly beneath the study." As they navigated the narrow underground passage, shoulders occasionally brushing in the confined space, Anna found herself in the unprecedented position of trusting a man she had been sent to destroy. "Why risk everything to help me?" she asked, her voice barely audible over their footsteps. Matteo paused, turning to face her in the dim emergency lighting of the tunnel. "Because when you thought I was sleeping," he said quietly, "you showed me the first genuine kindness I've experienced since my father died, and that's worth protecting, even at the cost of everything else." Dawn broke over the Costello estate as Anna and Matteo emerged from the hidden tunnel into the study that had once belonged to his father. Unlike the rest of the mansion's opulent displays, this room remained frozen in time, a shrine to the man whose murder had forced his son to assume the family mantle. With efficient movements born of necessity, Matteo activated a hidden mechanism behind a painting of Venice, revealing a wall safe concealed within the ornate frame. "My father documented everything," he explained, fingers working the combination. "Names, dates, bank accounts, insurance," he called it. The leather-bound journals inside the safe represented salvation and danger in equal measure, evidence that could dismantle corrupt networks within both criminal organizations and law enforcement, but that would also expose Matteo's unofficial role as an informant. Anna handled the journals reverently, understanding their value and the sacrifice they represented. "This will destroy your family's entire operation," she observed quietly. "Everything your ancestors built over generations." Matteo's smile held an unexpected peace as he watched her leaf through pages of damning evidence. "Some legacies aren't worth preserving," he replied, glancing around the study that had witnessed generations of criminal enterprise. "My father understood that before I did." Footsteps and voices echoed down the hallway outside, the search pattern of the FBI raid drawing closer to their location. "We need to move," Matteo urged, retrieving a flash drive from the safe and pressing it into Anna's palm. "Digital copies. Encrypted. Get these to Assistant Director Foster. No one else." Anna closed her fingers around the drive, its weight insignificant compared to the responsibility it represented. "And what about you?" she asked, already knowing and dreading his answer. "You can't stay here. They'll arrest you or worse." Matteo's expression softened as he brushed a strand of hair from her face, the gesture reminiscent of that moment in the drawing room that had changed everything. "Someone has to create a distraction," he said simply. "Someone they'll believe is the real target." Before Anna could protest, he leaned forward and pressed his lips to hers. Not a kiss of passion, but of possibility, of what might have been under different circumstances. "The service exit behind the library leads to the gardener's cottage," he whispered against her ear. "Luis will get you to Foster." Tears threatened as Anna realized the magnitude of his sacrifice. "This isn't fair," she objected, clutching the journals to her chest. "After everything you've done, you'll go down as just another crime boss while the real criminals escape." Matteo shook his head, the ghost of a smile playing at his lips. "Not if you tell our story," he countered, guiding her toward the hidden panel that would lead her to safety. "Not if you finish what my father started." Anna hesitated at the threshold of the escape route, memorizing every detail of the man who had upended her understanding of good and evil. The journals in her arms carried the weight of generations, not just the evidence of corruption, but the story of a family torn between legacy and redemption. In Matteo's eyes, she saw his father's final wish being fulfilled through the most unlikely alliance. Behind them, the study stood as a testament to appearances versus reality, ornate bookcases hiding tunnel entrances, priceless art concealing evidence vaults, a criminal empire secretly working to dismantle something far worse. Like Matteo himself, nothing was quite what it seemed at first glance. The sound of agents clearing rooms grew louder, each shout a reminder of the worlds colliding around them. Anna realized that beyond the evidence in her hands, she carried something equally valuable: the truth about a man who had chosen to sacrifice his name, his freedom, and his future to complete his father's mission. "I will," she promised, the words carrying the weight of an oath. "I'll make sure they know the truth." As the panel closed between them, Anna heard Matteo's voice call out to the approaching agents, drawing their attention away from her escape route. His final gift to her: time and distance enough to deliver the evidence that would expose corruption on both sides of the law. 6 months later, Anna stood in the quiet cemetery where generations of the Ricci family rested beneath Italian marble and ancient trees. She placed white lilies on the newest grave, not Matteo's, but his father's, knowing that somewhere, under a different name in a different city, the son still lived. The headlines had told only part of the story. FBI corruption ring exposed. Baresi crime family dismantled. Key witness protection program activated. The full truth remained known to only a few: how a mafia boss had pretended to sleep to test a shy maid, and how that moment had changed the course of justice in ways no one could have predicted. Thank you all for watching this story. If you enjoyed it, write in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, because your support is essential for me to continue creating content here.